Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is keep your opinions to yourself. Sometimes what looks like helpfulness is actually cruelty in disguise. This is the story of how a stranger's comment in a grocery store broke something inside me that I'd been holding together with tape and willpower. My name is Sarah, and I'm 29 years old. Yesterday, I made a woman cry in the cereal aisle at Kroger, and I still don't know if I should feel guilty about it. Let me take you back to 6 weeks ago, the day my entire world ended. It was a Saturday morning in September, one of those perfect fall days where the air is crisp and the sun is bright. The kind of day that makes you happy to be alive. My husband Jake was making breakfast. Pancakes. He always made pancakes on Saturday mornings. It was our thing. I was upstairs getting dressed. I heard the pan clattering in the kitchen. Heard him humming along to some song on the radio. Then I heard a loud crash. I called down to him. "You okay, babe?" No answer. "Jake?" Nothing. I walked downstairs. The kitchen looked normal at first. The stove was on. Pancake batter was on the counter. Everything seemed fine. Then I saw him. Jake was lying on the floor, face down, completely still. I ran to him, shook his shoulder, called his name over and over. He didn't move, didn't respond. His eyes were open but empty. I called 911. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. The operator told me to start CPR. I tried. I did everything they said, but Jake was already gone. The paramedics came. They worked on him for 20 minutes. Then one of them looked at me and shook his head. Brain aneurysm. That's what they told me later at the hospital. A blood vessel in his brain had burst. There was nothing anyone could have done. It happened instantly. 1 second he was making pancakes. The next second he was gone. Jake was 34 years old. We'd been married for 3 years, together for 7. We had plans. So many plans. We just bought a house 2 months before he died. A fixer-upper that needed work but had good bones. Jake was so excited about it. He'd spent every weekend working on renovations. The master bathroom was half finished. He'd been tiling the shower the weekend before he died. We were going to start trying for a baby in October. We'd talked about it for months, picked out names, argued about whether we wanted a boy or a girl first. Jake wanted a daughter. He said he wanted to be a girl dad. He'd already started planning tea parties and teaching her to fish. Now none of that will ever happen. The funeral was horrible. I barely remember it. I was so numb I felt like I was watching everything happen to someone else. Jake's parents were destroyed. His mom couldn't stop crying. His dad just sat there staring at nothing. My family tried to help. My sister Megan moved in with me for 2 weeks. My mom came over every day with food I couldn't eat. Everyone kept saying the same things. Time heals. He's in a better place. Stay strong. But I didn't want to be strong. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break things. I wanted to rewind time and make Jake go to the doctor, make him get checked out. Do something, anything different. The first few weeks after the funeral were the worst. The house was so quiet. Jake had always filled every room with noise. Singing, talking, laughing. Now there was nothing. Just silence and the sound of my own breathing. I couldn't sleep in our bed. Couldn't walk into the kitchen without seeing him on the floor. Couldn't look at the half-finished shower without breaking down. My boss gave me bereavement leave. 3 weeks. Like 3 weeks could somehow be enough time to process losing your entire future. I spent most of that time on the couch, staring at the TV without really watching anything. Wearing Jake's old t-shirts because they still smelled like him. People stopped calling after a while. I think they didn't know what to say, or maybe they were tired of me not answering. Megan was the only one who kept showing up. She'd come over with groceries, force me to shower, sit with me while I cried. "You need to get out of the house," she kept saying. "Even just for an hour. Go to the store, go for a walk, something." I didn't want to. Leaving the house meant facing the world, meant watching other people live their normal lives while mine had ended. But eventually I ran out of food, out of toilet paper, out of excuses. So yesterday afternoon, 6 weeks and 2 days after Jake died, I went to Kroger. I'd been to that Kroger 1,000 times. Jake and I used to shop there together every Sunday. He'd push the cart while I checked the list. We'd argue about whether we needed more chips. He always thought we did. Walking through those doors yesterday felt wrong. Like I was breaking some unspoken rule by being there without him. I grabbed a cart, pulled out my phone to check my shopping list, realized I hadn't made one. So I just started walking, going through the motions, grabbing random items without really thinking about what I needed. Bread, milk, some frozen dinners, things that required zero effort to prepare. I wasn't in a bad mood exactly. I wasn't really in any mood. I was just existing, moving through space like a ghost. That's when I ended up in the cereal aisle. I was standing there staring at 20 different brands of cornflakes, trying to remember which kind Jake liked, when I felt someone watching me. I looked up. There was an older woman standing a few feet away. She had gray hair styled in that poof that older ladies seem to love. She was wearing a purple cardigan and sensible shoes. She was smiling at me. But not a normal smile. That specific smile older women give you when they think they're about to share some wisdom. "Excuse me, sweetie," she said, walking closer. I didn't respond, just looked at her. "You know, you'd be so much prettier if you smiled." My stomach dropped. Those words, those exact words that women hear constantly, as if our faces exist to please strangers. I stared at her. Didn't say anything. Maybe I thought she'd take the hint and leave. She didn't. "Come on now," she continued, her voice sickeningly cheerful. "It can't be that bad. Give me a smile, sweetie. You'll feel better, I promise." Something inside me snapped. Not like an explosion. More like a dam breaking. All the grief and anger and exhaustion I'd been holding back for 6 weeks suddenly came pouring out. "My husband died," I said. My voice was flat, emotionless. 6 weeks ago, he was 34. The woman's smile faltered. Just slightly. Like she wasn't sure if she'd heard me correctly. "Brain aneurysm," I continued. "It happened while he was making breakfast. Pancakes. Our Saturday morning tradition." Her face started going pale. The color drained from her cheeks like someone had pulled a plug. "I found him on the kitchen floor," I said. "Face down. Already gone. I tried CPR. Did everything the 911 operator told me to do, but he was already dead." The woman's mouth opened slightly. No sound came out. She just stood there, frozen. "We were supposed to start trying for a baby next month," I continued. The words kept coming. I couldn't stop them. We'd picked out names. Jake wanted a girl. He wanted to be a girl dad. He'd already started planning tea parties. Tears were forming in the woman's eyes. Her hand clutched her purse strap tighter. "We just bought a house," I said. "He was renovating the bathroom. The shower's half-tiled. He'll never finish it. He'll never see the house we picked out together. Never meet the kids we wanted to have." The woman's hand went to her mouth. She was shaking her head slightly, like she wanted to unhear everything I'd just said. "So, no," I said, my voice getting harder. "I'm not going to smile for you. I'm not going to pretend everything's fine so you can feel comfortable. I'm just trying to buy cereal so I can keep existing. So I can wake up tomorrow and do this all over again." The woman's tears spilled over. They ran down her cheeks, leaving tracks through her makeup. She opened her mouth like she wanted to say something. Her lips moved, but nothing came out at first. "I'm so sorry," she finally whispered. Her voice was cracking. "I didn't know. I'm so sorry." Then she turned and walked away quickly, almost running. Her sensible shoes squeaked against the floor as she disappeared around the corner. I stood there in the cereal aisle, my hand still on my shopping cart, watching her disappear. My heart was pounding. My hands were shaking. I felt hot and cold at the same time. The fluorescent lights above me suddenly seemed too bright. The store sounds too loud. Everything felt overwhelming. Other shoppers were staring at me. I could feel their eyes, their judgment, their pity, their discomfort. A young couple near the granola bars quickly looked away when I glanced in their direction. An older man pretended to be very interested in a box of Cheerios. A woman with a toddler in her cart hurried past, pulling her child closer like my grief might be contagious. I looked down at my cart, at the random items I'd thrown in without thinking. A loaf of bread I didn't need, milk that would probably go bad before I drank it. 3 frozen dinners that all looked equally depressing. None of it mattered. None of it made sense. What was I even doing here? Why was I buying groceries like a normal person when nothing about my life was normal anymore? I let go of the cart handle, just released it and took a step back. The cart sat there in the middle of the aisle, abandoned, like everything else in my life. I turned and walked toward the exit. My legs felt shaky. My vision was getting blurry. I needed to get out, needed to breathe, needed to be anywhere but here. The automatic doors opened and the October air hit my face. It was cold, crisp. It helped a little. I walked to my car without really seeing where I was going. Muscle memory guided me. The drive home is a blur. I don't remember getting in my car. Don't remember turning the key. Don't remember the route I took. I just remember gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I remember stopping at a red light and realizing I was crying. Not sobbing, just tears streaming down my face without any sound. I remember pulling into my driveway and sitting there. Engine off, just sitting. The house looked the same as when I'd left. Same brown shutters, same front porch, same flower pots Jake had planted in the spring. But it felt different now. Empty. Hollow. Like a shell of something that used to be a home. I sat in my driveway afterward, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe. What had I done? That woman was just trying to be nice. In her own annoying, outdated way, she thought she was helping. She thought she was brightening someone's day, making the world a little happier, spreading positivity or whatever nonsense people tell themselves when they tell strangers to smile. She didn't know about Jake, didn't know about the aneurysm or the house or the baby we'd never have. And I dumped all of that on her. Made her cry in the middle of a grocery store. Made her feel terrible for what she probably thought was a harmless comment. The guilt hit me like a wave, sharp and painful. I imagined her driving home, probably crying, probably telling her husband or her friends about the horrible encounter she'd had at Kroger. I was just trying to be nice, she'd say, and this woman just attacked me. Because that's what it probably felt like to her, an attack. I finally got out of my car and went inside. The house was quiet, too quiet. I could hear the refrigerator humming, the clock ticking in the hallway, my own breathing. I went to the kitchen and stared at the spot where I'd found Jake. The floor looked normal now. Clean, no signs of what had happened there 6 weeks ago. But I could still see him, face down, motionless, gone. I couldn't stay in that room. I went to the living room and called Megan. She answered on the second ring. "Hey, what's up?" "I did something," I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. "What happened?" Her voice immediately shifted to concerned. She could always tell when something was wrong. I told her everything. The woman, the purple cardigan, the comment about smiling, my response, every detail I'd shared about Jake. I told her about the look on the woman's face when I told her about the pancakes, about the tears, about how she'd practically run away. "I feel terrible," I said. She didn't deserve that. She was just being nice. Megan was quiet for a second. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line. Then she said something I didn't expect. She wasn't being nice. What? She wasn't being nice, Sarah. She was being rude. You don't tell strangers they need to smile. You don't tell women they'd be prettier if they change their face. That's not kindness. That's control. But she didn't know. Exactly. She didn't know. She had no idea what you were going through. And that's exactly why she should have kept her mouth shut. I started crying. Not sad crying. Angry crying. The kind that makes your chest tight and your throat hurt. "I'm so tired," I said. "I'm so tired of people telling me how I should look or act or feel. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone thinks they know what's best." "I know," Megan said softly. Her voice was gentle now. "Understanding? Jake's been gone 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and people already expect me to be over it, to be moving on, to be smiling in the grocery store like nothing happened." My voice was rising, getting louder. All the frustration I'd been holding in was pouring out. They want me to go back to work, to go to dinner parties, to act normal. But I'm not normal. Nothing is normal. "You don't owe anyone a smile," Megan said firmly. "You don't owe anyone anything except taking care of yourself." But I made her cry, Megan. I made a stranger cry in a grocery store. "Good," Megan said. "Maybe she'll think twice before telling another woman to smile. Maybe she learned something today." I wanted to believe her. Wanted to feel justified instead of guilty. But all I could see was that woman's face. The tears. The shock. The way she'd apologized before running away. We talked for another hour. Megan told me about her day, about her coworkers, normal things that felt comforting in their ordinariness. By the end, I felt a little better. Not good, just less terrible. Less like I was drowning, more like I was treading water. Later that night, my mom called. Megan had told her what happened. I could tell from her tone that she'd heard a version of the story, that she had opinions. "Sweetie," I heard about the grocery store, Mom said carefully, using that voice she reserves for when she's trying not to upset me. Yeah, maybe you were a little harsh? My chest tightened. The guilt came flooding back, mixed with defensiveness. She told me to smile, Mom. I know, but she was just trying to brighten your day. She didn't mean any harm. I don't care what she meant, I said. My voice came out sharper than I intended. I'm not responsible for managing other people's comfort. Not anymore. Mom sighed. A long, heavy sigh that made me feel like a difficult child. I'm just worried about you. I don't want you to push people away. I'm not pushing people away. I'm setting boundaries. The words sounded strong when I said them, but inside I felt shaky, uncertain. Was I setting boundaries? Or was I just being cruel? We ended the call awkwardly. I could tell Mom was disappointed in how I'd handled things. She probably thought I should have just smiled and moved on. Should have been the bigger person. That made me feel worse. I spent the rest of the night replaying the encounter over and over. The woman's face, the way her smile disappeared, the tears in her eyes. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, heard her voice saying, "I'm so sorry." Part of me felt guilty. Part of me felt justified. Mostly I just felt exhausted. It's been 24 hours since the grocery store incident. I haven't been back to Kroger. I'm worried I'll run into the woman again. What would I even say? Sorry for trauma dumping in the cereal aisle? Would she even recognize me? Or had she blocked the whole thing out, too traumatized by the encounter to remember my face? Megan says I shouldn't apologize, that the woman learned an important lesson about keeping her opinions to herself. Mom thinks I should write a note and leave it with customer service. Explain that I was grieving and took things too far. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to go back to that Kroger, to look for her, to apologize properly. But another part of me thinks Megan is right, that maybe the woman needed to hear what I said. That maybe my pain, as uncomfortable as it was for her, taught her something important. I don't know. I really don't know. What I do know is this. Grief makes you do strange things. It makes you say things you normally wouldn't. It breaks down the filters that usually keep your pain private. For 6 weeks, I've been trying to hold it together, trying to seem normal, trying to protect other people from my sadness. But yesterday, in that grocery store, I couldn't do it anymore. Someone demanded something from me that I didn't have to give. And I snapped.